Oil firms to impose another big-time price hike tomorrow. President Rodrigo Duterte fires another official while Malacanang warns the public and justices against a judiciary fixer. And the Department of Education assures that schools are all set for the opening of classes in June except for the 69 schools in Marawi City. Y News begins now.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center in Quezon City, this is Y News.
Good evening. Oil companies are set to implement another over 1 peso increase in prices of fuel products beginning tomorrow. Here's why from Monokson.
Another fuel price hike looms this week. Oil firms announced on Monday they will impose more than a peso increase tomorrow. Gasoline prices will go up by almost 2 pesos per liter. Diesel prices will rise by more than 1 peso, while kerosene will increase by 1 peso. Since January of this year, prices of gasoline, diesel and kerosene have already gone up by 8 pesos. The increase also covered the additional excise tax from the train law. The Department of Energy says the fuel price hike is the result of the political or socio-economic turmoil happening in oil-producing countries such as Iran and Venezuela. It leads to lower supply of fuel, which then causes prices to shoot up.
Yun nga ang minomonitor natin, yung mga developments sa international, dahil ano man ang pangyayari doon, reflective lang yung domestic price.
The DOE notes 100% of fuel used for vehicles is imported. Aside from being deregulated, the DOE also has no control over oil prices since its movement depends on the world market. What the agency can do is to monitor fuel price movement and prevent oil firms from taking unfair advantage of it.
Merong mga under-delivery, yung kulang sa sukat, at tapos may kasong adulteration kapag naman hindi tama ang kalidad.
Despite the rising petroleum prices, motorist May Hizon says she will still use her vehicle. May does carpooling to save money for her fuel expenses and to maintain the condition of her vehicle.
Kailangan pa-change oil ka rin every 6 months or depende kung ano yung range nung tapos pa-check mo rin yung sasakyan mo talaga para lang at least kung gusto mo talagang makatipid, kailangan mo mahalin din yung sasakyan mo.
This week, the DOE is set to inspect gasoline stations to ensure that no oil firm will take unfair advantage of the rising fuel prices. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
President Rodrigo Duterte fires a transportation official while Malacanang warns the public and justices against a judiciary fixer. Rosalie Cos explains why.
Transportation Assistant Secretary for Railways Mark Tolentino is the latest to be shown the exit by President Rodrigo Duterte. This is for approaching a relative of the chief executive on a certain government project, specifically the Mindanao Railway Project.
Huwag niyo pong kakausapin ang kahit sinong kamag-anak niya na meron pong gustong kahit anong kontrata or appointment sa gobyerno. Kapag kinausap niyo po ang kahit sinong kamag-anak ng presidente, basehan na po yan para kayo ay sibakin.
Last weekend, President Duterte hinted on firing more government officials, including Government Corporate Council and gaming officials.
I have fired and will fire tomorrow some more people. Meron pang isang head of an agency.
The Department of Transportation supports the decision of President Duterte and ensures that the Mindanao Railway Project remains on track.
Ang assurances po natin is that ang Mindanao Railway po kasama po ng lahat ng proyekto ng DOTR ay isasagawa po namin ng walang korupsyon, isasagawa po namin sunod ang tamang proseso, tamang oras at tamang kalidad.
In a text message, former Assistant Secretary Tolentino says he respects the president's decision but vows to continue standing up against corruption to protect the interests of the people in Mindanao. Meanwhile, Roque is set to announce tomorrow the name of another resigning government official as advised by the chief executive. Meanwhile, Malacanang warns the public and all the court judges and justices in the country against a fixer pretending to be a member of the first family. Though Malacanang did not name the fixer, it says this is the husband of the former daughter-in-law of President Duterte.
Ginagamit po ang pangalan ng apo ng presidente para sa pagpipix ng mga kaso. So mga mahistrado po, mga judges and justices, huwag niyo pong entertainin itong fixer na ito. Hindi po talaga kamag-anak yan ni presidente.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The Department of Education assures that schools are all set for the opening of classes in June, except for the 69 schools in Marawi City. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
There are only 2 weeks left before the classes open in public schools this June. The Department of Education assures that most schools in the country are ready based on the school readiness assessment they conducted. Variables they looked at include teachers, classrooms, toilets, seats, and water and electrical supply.
Close to about 80%, 86% of our schools nationwide are ready and nearly ready. Only 1.3% are needing support in some of those variables.
However, 69 schools in Marawi City cannot be used this school year.
Kasi sinurvey namin, even before the Marawi seeds, talagang hindi na sila appropriate na or safe na doon magkaklase. So ang ginagawa ng DepEd, kinakluster sila.
Meanwhile, DepEd kicks off today its Oplan Balik Eskwela with its partner agencies. It has reopened its Information and Action Center, which will accept queries and complaints until June 8. Meanwhile, the Alliance of Concerned Teachers National Capital Region or ACT-NCR Union also launched its Bantay Balik Eskwela. ACT encourages teachers to report problems they will observe in school opening, such as shortage of classrooms, books, facilities, and others through their hotline. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
The Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, opens its Descuento Caravan today, where the public may buy cheaper but quality school supplies prior to the opening of classes in June. The project will roll out in various parts of Metro Manila and to other parts of the country. Aside from low-price items, the DTI assures that the products in the caravan are safe from toxic chemicals that may affect the health of students. Meanwhile, the agency is set to begin its inspections to school supply stores in the coming days to make sure that DTI suggested retail prices or SRPs issued in May are imposed. Descuento Caravan first stop is at a UPRC building in Hilpuyat Avenue and opens from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. It will run until May 25 before it changes location. The Philippine National Police Highway Patrol Group seeks to implement a mandatory safety training before allowing any motorists to purchase motorcycles. Leia Ilagan explains why.
The number of road accidents in the country, especially involving motorcycles, is growing continuously. Data from the Philippine National Police Highway Patrol Group show that around 11,477 motorcycle accidents were recorded in the first 4 months of 2018, which is higher than the 9,574 cases in December 2017. PNP HPG Director Police Chief Superintendent Arnel Escobar says motorcycle accidents are usually caused by human error and or lack of discipline in motorists.
Alam mo, napakadaling bumili ng motorsiklo ngayon. Unang-una, yung mga bumibili, hindi naman hinahanapan ng mga dealers kung sila ba ay may driver's license na. So, benta ng benta. At pangalawa, karamihan naman ng mga bumibili ay wala talagang training. Siguro natutulang silang umangkas, magpatakbo, and then bumili na ng motor.
To reduce road crashes and injuries, Escobar seeks to implement mandatory safety training before allowing anyone to purchase a motorcycle.
Gusto namin i-propose talaga. Kasi nga, ito nga, mantakin mo yung sinasabi kong 9,574 last year na data. Ngayon, first 4 months pa lang, pumapalo na ng 11,477. So, grabe ang pagtaas ng data natin. So, mas maraming buhay na, kumbaga, masisave kung talagang magiging mandatory yung magkaroon sila ng training.
Escobar adds motorists need more than experience to know what to do on the roads, especially during mishaps like oil spills and others.
Kasi ang pinaka-technique lang naman dyan, yung pagmamaneuver is yung baywang. Kasi yung manibela, pag you're running at high speed, hindi mo basta-basta maililiko yung manibela pag tumatakbo ka ng high speed. So kailangan gamitin mo ng baywang mo kasi pag ginamit mo yung baywang mo, kung saan gusto mong direksyon pupunta yun, sumusunod yung manibela.
At present, the PNP-HPG is reaching out to fast food chains offering delivery service via motorcycle to conduct free road safety training. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Department of Public Works and Highways is now working with other agencies following the collapse of a portion of a flyover along Aguinaldo Highway in Cavite. Here's why from Asher Cadapan Jr.
The Department of Public Works and Highways and other concerned agencies begin its probe if the contractor JBL Builders has liabilities following the collapse of a portion of a flyover along Aguinaldo Highway in Imus, Cavite on Saturday. Imus Mayor Emmanuel Maliksi, who spoke with the project's contractor, says the flyover collapsed when the middle portion of the structure lost its balance while being installed into the beam.
Sabi nung contractor, no, yun daw pinaka-dowel nung nilalagay na doon sa pinaka-parang capping beam yata nila, sumabit. Okay? Kaya tuloy yung nangyari, yung puwersa, para nag-domino effect yung 5 na nakalagay na beam doon.
No one was hurt in the incident, although a truck owned by the contractor was destroyed along with the motorcycle of a traffic enforcer in the area. The Imus Cavite Engineering Office estimates the damage at 3 million pesos. DPWH, however, denies allegations of using substandard materials in the collapsed flyover. Meanwhile, Aguinaldo Highway and nearby roads are now open for motorists. Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue, Cavite.
The associations of Philippine judges and the Supreme Court employees are urging the public to respect the Supreme Court's ruling granting the petition to oust Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. In a statement, the PJA, SC employees and assemblies of lawyers insist that only the Supreme Court has the power to interpret the constitutional provisions.
The interpretation and application of the Constitution, laws, and rules exclusively belong to the Supreme Court, not to the Executive Department, not to Congress, not to media, not to the practicing lawyers and law students, not to the clergy, not even to the people.
In today's flag ceremony, most employees wore red-colored clothing, not in protest but in support of the magistrates who voted to oust Sereno from office. Committee on Environment and Natural Resources Chairperson Cynthia Villar reprimands some government officials over the delayed rehabilitation of the Manila Bay. It has been 8 years since the Supreme Court issued a writ of mandamus ordering 13 agencies to clean up Manila Bay. Villar expresses dismay over their performance aside from the growing population of informal settlers in the area.
That is illegal. Yung mga tao tumitira sa Port of Manila, do sa mga port nyo, at wala silang toilet doon, that is illegal under the Solid Waste Management Law.
The Criminal Investigation and Detection Unit captures in Makati City the scion of a huge courier company in the country. Juan Ignacio Araneta alias Ineki went into hiding for 7 years after he was caught using cocaine in Kalibo, Aklan. He has been charged for violating the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002, but he escaped while undergoing the inquest proceedings. Araneta has posted 200,000 pesos in bail for his temporary release. Next on Y News. Senator Vicente Soto III takes over Senate leadership after Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III steps down. Senate defenders, PNP responders, and judiciary magistrates keep their winning forms in the ongoing elimination round of the UNTV Cup off-season executive face-off. And a Taclobanon song composition called I Can Be wins in ASOP third elimination round this May.
On Y News Tonight, Senator Vicente Soto III takes over Senate leadership after Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III steps down. The government needs almost 53 billion pesos to rehabilitate the conflict-torn Marawi City. Malacanang expresses serious concerns on continuous militarization in South China Sea. Good evening. Senator Vicente Soto III officially takes over Senate leadership following the resignation of Senator Aquilino Pimentel III. He also assures the reorganization will not affect the passage of priority bills. Nel Maribuhok tells us why.
Outgoing Senate President Aquilino Coco Pimentel III vows minimal disruption following reorganization in the higher chamber of the Congress. Today, Senator Vicente Soto III officially takes the helm after Pimentel steps down and nominates him as his successor.
I stepped down knowing that I tried my best to do this. I wish my successor, Senator Soto, good health. We will implement this change with a minimum disruption. Minimum disruption.
Majority of senators voted in favor of Soto, but minority senators abstained. Senator Soto then took his oath, which was witnessed by his family. Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, meanwhile, is elected as the new majority leader and will also head the Committee on Rules based on Senate rules. Senator Pimentel will now handle the committee formerly held by Senator Zubiri, the Committee on Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship. Senate President Soto says the reorganization will not affect the passage of priority bills.
There will be no changes in the chairmanships. So we will pursue all the important bills, and in the next 2 weeks we hope to be able to pass the BBL, the OSF, and then the Universal Health Care and the Public Service Act.
House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, meanwhile, hopes that the two chambers of Congress will be able to pass more priority bills.
Well, siyempre kami naman sa House of Representatives, we wished him luck and sana maging magandang mas gumanda pa yung takbo ng passage ng mga legislation.
Malacanang meanwhile commends the contributions of Senator Pimentel to the country's legislature.
We respect the choice of our senators on their leader, although we would like to commend and express our appreciation also for the partnership that we had with Senate President Coco Pimentel.
Senate President Soto has now served as senator for 19 years and passed some important measures like the creations of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency and family courts. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Liberal Party President Senator Francis Pangilinan named 6 senatorial candidates forming the so-called resistance slate in the 2019 midterm elections. They are Senator Bam Aquino, former Quezon Representative Erin Tañada, Free Legal Assistance Group, FLAG, Chairman Attorney Jose Manuel Chel Diokno, Magdalo Party List Representative Gary Alejano, and former Akbayan Party List Representative Barry Gutierrez. Pangilinan says the Resistance Coalition is also courting actress Agot Isidro to run, but she is yet to decide on the matter. The Presidential Electoral Tribunal begins the retrieval of ballot boxes in Iloilo Province. Vincent Arboleda tells us why.
The Presidential Electoral Tribunal, or PET, inspected each ballot box used in the province of Iloilo during the 2016 national elections. Iloilo is one of the 3 provinces former Senator Ferdinand Marcos chose to conduct the recount due to alleged poll fraud. Among the materials the PAT team turned over were ballot boxes from Gimbal, Igbaras, San Joaquin, and Tubungan in the 1st District of Iloilo. Also part of the retrieval team is the legal counsel of Vice President Leni Robredo.
We want actually to observe as well the condition of the ballot boxes. We have the duty actually to safeguard and bantayan po yung kada boto na nakuha ni Vice President Robredo.
The PAT will retrieve next ballot boxes from other districts. Once completed, these will be delivered to Manila on Saturday. The recount will begin after the counting of votes in Camarines Sur.
Tinitingnan bawat isang ballot boxes, check yung seal, kung kumpleto, intact, at saka yung ino-observe din yung general condition ng ballot boxes.
5 ballot boxes have been reportedly damaged due to typhoon. But the camp of the Vice President says the 2016 polls have security features, so it will not affect the recount. Robredo's camp is confident that the Supreme Court will treat her case fairly despite the ouster of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Senate will no longer act as an impeachment tribunal once the proposed new constitution gets approval. Here's Mai Bermudez to tell us why.
Based on the recommendation of the Consultative Committee, the judicial branch of the government will be given a chance to weigh in impeachment cases under the proposed federal structure. Both chambers of Congress will not be the only branches of the government to have jurisdiction over cases of impeachment. Under the new constitution, the Consultative Committee is framing in a new system presented by CONCOM Chairman and former Supreme Court Chief Justice Reynato Puno. The judiciary might be a part of those that will look into the impeachment cases in the country. The CONCOM explains such process will ensure fair decision-making in ousting impeachable officers like the President, Vice President, magistrates of the Supreme Court, as well as members of the constitutional commissions such as the COMELEC, Civil Service Commission, Commission on Audit, and the Ombudsman.
The House still initiates the impeachment procedure. The Senate tries, but still there is room for the judiciary to come in and intervene when some constitutional rights of the respondent or the official being impeached are violated.
But Akbayan Representative Tom Villarin says the proposal of the CONCOM seems in favor of the decision of the Supreme Court against former Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. Villarin explains it also violates the separation of powers principle among the 3 branches of the government. Meanwhile, instead of having only one powerful Supreme Court, the CONCOM proposes to have 3 high courts. These are the Federal Supreme, Federal Constitutional, and Federal Administrative Courts. The framers of the new constitution explain it would help hasten the resolution of pending cases at courts across the country. CONCOM also proposes reforming the Judicial and Bar Council, or JBC, where the Ombudsman, the Commission on Audit, and Civil Service Commission will have the opportunity to scrutinize appointed government officials. However, it does not allow the current mechanism of reappointing rejected officials.
Yung mga members to be appointed will not be have the right or the privilege to be reappointed.
Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez will ask President Rodrigo Duterte to certify as urgent the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law. Tomorrow, the House leadership will meet with the Bangsamoro Transition Commission along with the Moro Islamic and the Moro National Liberation Fronts and the Government Peace Panel. They will discuss the provisions of the BBL that lawmakers do not agree with. The Congress eyes passing the proposal in the 3rd reading on May 30, the last day of session.
Titignan namin yung middle grounds kung saan pwede magkasundo. Basta tapusin namin yan bago kami mag-break.
The government will need almost 53 billion pesos for the rehabilitation of the conflict-torn Marawi City. The said amount, however, does not cover the fund needed for the rehabilitation of the main battle area. John Nano tells us why.
1 year after the attack of the mounted terrorist group in Marawi City, the government is still trying to bring back to normal the lives of its residents. The National Economic Development Authority or NEDA estimates the government will have to allot 53 billion pesos for the rehabilitation of the conflict-torn city. However, the fund does not cover the amount needed for the repair of the entire ground zero or the most damaged area in the city. NEDA says a huge chunk of the 53 billion pesos has to be used this year. It covers the more than 800 priority programs, projects, and activities the government target to finish until 2022.
So we have something to start with. I think that's the most important thing. We're already almost half the year, no? So getting started is what's important.
In NEDA's breakdown, 26 billion pesos is needed for physical infrastructure, 5.8 billion for social services, and more than 10 billion for housing. More than 7 billion pesos is allotted to livelihood and business development, 1.2 billion for local governance and peace building, and 2 billion pesos for land resource and management. The agency notes 3 fund sources for the rehabilitation of Marawi City. First is from the 2018 national budget. Second is from the donations of private and non-government agencies and non-profit organizations. The fund can also be sourced from the Official Development Assistance or ODA. Figures presented by NEDA show a huge part of the 53 billion pesos will come from the fund of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Fund that reaches 24.8 billion pesos. The other needed amount will be taken from other sectors. NEDA says estimated fund for the rehabilitation might still increase depending on the recommendations of stakeholders. Despite the need for a bigger fund, NEDA is confident that the government can address the concern to restore Marawi City before the Maute siege.
The leadership is determined to get Marawi back on its feet. The Bangon Marawi nga ang tawag. There are commitments, yes.
Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
The former general manager of the National Housing Authority blames the contractors over the substandard housing units, especially in calamity-stricken areas. Nel Marie Buhok tells us why.
The Senate Committee on Urban Planning, Housing and Resettlement begins its probe on the issues surrounding the government housing units for calamity-stricken communities. The committee learns during the hearing that some units were awarded to its beneficiaries 5 years after the disaster occurred, specifically the 2013 Zamboanga siege.
To my knowledge, that after 5 years, we have not yet built back better as a city of Zamboanga because the infrastructure, the housing, particularly led by the NHA, are substandard.
Former National Housing Authority Chief Attorney Chito Cruz blames this to the contractors, which was frowned upon by the committee.
Ang may pananagutan po nito, yung nakakontrata sa NHA po. Kung sino po yung pumirma ng kontrata, yun po ang may pananagutan nito.
Go on blaming the contractors because NHA is the implementing agency. You are also accountable.
The current NHA chief, meanwhile, points out slow releasing of funds, further delaying completion of housing projects such as in Yolanda-stricken areas.
After a year, there was gradual releases of the funds until after we're able to produce the 205,000.
The NHA, however, assures it is taking necessary steps to upgrade government housing standards. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Malacanang expresses serious concerns on continued Chinese militarization in South China Sea. Here's why from Victor Cosare.
Though the Philippines has yet to verify reports on the deployment of Chinese S-6K bomber aircrafts on an island reef in the South China Sea, Malacanang regards this as a serious concern. The government also insists the statement of ASEAN on the importance of non-militarization and self-restraint in the conduct of activities to avoid escalation of tension and maintain peace in the region.
We take note of the reports that appeared and we express our serious concerns anew on its impact on constructive efforts to maintain peace and stability in the region.
On the meeting of Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, and Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano with the U.S. Asia-Pacific Command, Roque says this aims to assure the U.S. of our standing alliance with them despite the warming relations with other countries such as China, Russia, Australia, and Japan. Last weekend, President Rodrigo Duterte reiterated his choice of having joint exploration and development rather than waging war with China.
Di ba ta kinahanglan mag-away? Bahin ta, joint development, joint exploration, o niya, mas dako ang ihatag namo sa inyo. Kaysa makig-away ko.
The Department of Foreign Affairs continuously monitors the development in the West Philippine Sea and South China Sea. In a statement, DFA assures they are doing the necessary steps to protect and defend our territories. Next month, the Philippine government will address the continuous militarization during the possible bilateral consultative mechanism meeting between China and the Philippines. Meanwhile, Magdalo Party List Representative Gary Alejado urges the government to submit a diplomatic protest against China.
If we allow militarization there na tayo hindi nagre-raise ng concern, then we are a party of the aggressive militarization of China. So the Philippines should file a diplomatic protest, because when you file a diplomatic protest, that's saying to the world, to the whole world, that we're concerned about the militarization.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The National Privacy Commission will seek further clarification from Facebook over Filipino data breach issue. The agency also launches an online campaign urging responsible internet use. Aiko Miguel explains why.
The National Privacy Commission confirms it already received a response from the social media giant 14 days after it sent a missive in April. The agency seeks to understand how Facebook processes personal information it gathers from millions of Filipino users. However, the NPC plans to hold more teleconferences to clarify and simplify some of the firm's broad responses. The agency also learned that the Facebook's team in the country holds no control over the information of its Filipino users.
We have to review yung process of involving cross-border data transfer, and where Filipinos and Filipinos data, kasama yan, for example, yung relationship ng Philippine office dito with yung sa offshore, yung sa central office nila. Parang lumalabas ngayon sa Facebook yung kanilang process, controller na sa Ireland at hindi sa United States.
NPC's Complaints and Investigation Division's probe began with the data breach issue involving the Digital Life application, which gathered information from FB users, including 2 million Filipinos. Cambridge Analytica, the now defunct data analysis firm, which supported the campaign of U.S. President Donald Trump, then illegally harvested the data. Meanwhile, the NPC also reveals it is looking into Uber data breach.
We're looking not just at Cambridge. We're looking at that entirety of how they look at our data. So it's completely different in terms of scope, in terms of issue, and in terms of answers that we require from them.
NPC warns the netizens to be careful in clicking links and in giving information on social media.
Kung ang bawat isa, alam nila ang halaga ng kanilang data. Mula to sa pagbibigay mo ng information pag naglalakad ka sa mall tas may humingi sa'yo at sinabihan ka na i-fill in mo tong form na to, kahit gaano kaganda yung mapapanalunan mong payong, dapat lahat ng Pilipino ngayon mag-iisip na siya, kailangan ba o dapat bang ibigay ko ang impormasyon ko sa humihingi.
In this vein, the agency launches today its Privacy, Safety, Security and Trust Online or PST campaign urging responsible internet use. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
A Song of Praise or ASOP songwriting competition, judges applaud the inspiring song entitled I Can Be, which is this month's third weekly winner. Leslie Longbowen will tell us why.
Taclobanon Winston J. Ladera remains determined to continue writing inspirational songs despite losing thrice in the A Song of Praise or ASOP songwriting competition. And last night, he reaped the fruit of his perseverance when his song called I Can Be won the weekly finals and as a producer's pick episode.
I Can Be, composed by Winston J. Ladera.
Kaya nabuo po yung song na I Can Be to inspire po sa mga tao na huwag susuko sa lahat po ng laban.
The judges only has glowing words of appreciation for Ladera's song composition.
Ito sa kanta mo, klarong-klaro ang song sections and klaro din yung message ng kanta.
Malinaw ang istorya, yung melodic energy landscape, yung biyahe ng intensity in all of the song sections ay makinis na din.
Which covering wishful John Harvey Magos interpreted the song.
ASOP is an avenue for me na makilala po ako as a singer and also to give glory to the God. Yun naman po talaga yung pinaka-reason ko why kung ba't nagpapatuloy ko itong ASOP because for the Lord, syempre.
My eyes to see the way I set myself for what I could be. My source of strength, yes I can be.
Leslie Lomboen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Team Senate defenders, PNP responders, and judiciary mages keep their winning forms in the ongoing elimination round of the UNTV Cup Season Executive Face-Off. Here's why from Bernard Dadis.
Senate Sentinels nails out their second straight victory after bombarding GSIS Thunder Furies 90-57 in the UNTV Cup off-season executive face-off at the Pasig City Sports Center yesterday. Senator Joel Villanueva masterfully leads the Sentinels to victory after his 34-point finish, dedicating the game to the late father of team player Senator Sonny Angara.
This game naman, motivation namin is kasi dedicate namin yung victory ito para sa father ni Senator Sonny, si Senator Ed Angara.
Though they failed in their Devi game, the GSIS vows to step up trainings to match the endurance levels of other teams in the League of the Public Servants.
Mismo sa kanila na nanggaling, kailangan magpa-kondisyon kami, mas tumakbo pa kami sa susunod na practice.
Ombudsman Grubbusters, meanwhile, was gasping for air when it went against the robust PNP responders in the second game yesterday, 83-58. The 9-player lineup of Grubbusters were unable to sustain their first half edge as the well-balanced 13-cager lineup of PNP outplays them.
Nung una kasi ang ginawa namin, nag-1-2-2 muna kami, nag-2-3 zone kami. Ngayon nakakatira sila ng parang easy basket eh. Kada jump shot nila sa corner, bago mag-third, sabi namin, di natin may stop yung jump shot. Sige, laruin natin ng man-to-man. Maganda naman kanilabasan, nag-man-to-man kami. Nakita namin yung isa pang strength namin sa defense, yung man-to-man.
Outnumbered talaga kami. So hindi namin na-sustain yung energy namin ng first half. As you can see, first half, dikitan talaga eh. Actually, before pa nga matapos laban ng first half, lamang pa nga kami. Then later in third quarter, lumabas na yung pagod.
While in the third game, the judiciary mages exacts revenge as its narrowly clipped defending champion AFP Cavaliers 67-66. It can be noted that the AFP routed the Magis during the semifinals of last year's off-season game.
Ready kami doon sa physical game nila, sa run and game nila. Yung dinepensa namin yung 3-point shooter nila. Yung isa pa yung rebound namin. Kasi dumiretso kami sa offense namin, run and gun.
Joey Yabut gets Best Player of the Game for the second time, while Court Administrator Jose Maidas Marquez also contributes 18 points. PNP responders, Senate Sentinels, and Judiciary Magis all keep their winning forms for clinching 2 straight wins and 0 losses. Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Up next on Y News. A Texas official blames violent video games and broken families for the increasing gun violence in schools. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro wins re-election amid vote rigging claims. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle delay honeymoon plans after their blended modern and traditional wedding. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III, and this is Y News. Stay tuned for William Thio. Good evening.
News tonight. Fuel prices will increase again tomorrow. Oil firms announced that gasoline prices will go up by almost 2 pesos per liter, diesel by more than 1 peso, while kerosene will increase by almost 1 peso. The Department of Energy says the fuel price hike is the result of the political or socio-economic turmoil happening in oil-producing countries such as Iran and Venezuela. It leads to lower supply of fuel, which then causes prices to shoot up. This week, the DOE will inspect gasoline stations to ensure that no oil firm will take unfair advantage of the rising fuel prices. Meanwhile, the Department of Education kicks off today its Oplan Balik Eskwela 2 weeks before the classes open in June. DepEd reopened its Information and Action Center, which will accept queries and complaints until June 8th. The department also assures that most public schools in the country are all set based on the school readiness assessment they conducted. However, 69 schools in Marawi City cannot be used this school year.
Kasi sinurvey namin, even before the Marawi seeds, talagang hindi na sila appropriate na or safe na doon magkaklase. So ang ginagawa ng DepEd, kinakluster sila.
President Rodrigo Duterte fires Transportation Assistant Secretary for Railways Mark Tolentino. Malacanang says this is for approaching a relative of the chief executive on a certain government project, specifically the Mindanao Railway System. Last weekend, President Duterte hinted on firing more government officials, including 5 government corporate council and gaming officials.
Huwag niyo pong kakausapin ang kahit sinong kamag-anak niya na meron pong gustong kahit anong kontrata or appointment sa gobyerno. Kapag kinausap niyo po ang kahit sinong kamag-anak ng presidente, basehan na po yan para kayo ay sibakin.
Meanwhile, Malacanang is set to announce tomorrow the names of more government officials sacked by the chief executive. The palace also warns public and all court judges and justices in the country against dealing with a fixer pretending to be a member of the first family.
Ginagamit po ang pangalan ng apo ng presidente para sa pagpipix ng mga kaso. So mga mahistrado po, mga judges and justices, huwag niyo pong entertainin itong fixer na ito. Hindi po talaga kamag-anak yan ni presidente.
In other news, Senator Vicente Tito Soto III officially takes the helm after Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel steps down as Senate President. Soto took his oath after Pimentel nominates him as successor, with majority of senators voting in his favor. Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, meanwhile, is elected as the new majority leader and will also head the Committee on Rules based on Senate rules. Senator Pimentel will now handle the Committee on Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurs HIP, formerly held by Senator Zubiri. Senate President Soto says the reorganization will not affect the passage of priority bills.
There will be no changes in the chairmanships. So we will pursue all the important bills, and in the next 2 weeks we hope to be able to pass the BBL, the OSF, and then the Universal Health Care and the Public Service Act.
Meanwhile, the government will need almost 53 billion pesos to rehabilitate the conflict-torn Marawi City. The said amount, however, does not cover the fund needed for the rehabilitation of the main battle area. National Economic Development Authority or NEDA says a huge chunk of the 53 billion pesos needs to be used for this year, which covers more than 800 priority programs set to be completed until 2022. The Rehabilitation Fund might still increase depending on the recommendations of stakeholders. But despite the need for a bigger fund, NEDA is confident that the government can address the concern to restore Marawi City.
So we have something to start with. I think that's the most important thing. We're already almost half of the year, no? So getting started is what's important.
Malacanang expresses serious concerns over reports that China deployed its H-6K bomber aircrafts on an island reef in the disputed West Philippine Sea, although it has yet to verify the said information. Despite this, the palace insists the ASEAN's call to claimant countries to stop their respective activities in the contested territory to avoid further escalation of tension and maintain regional peace.
We take note of the reports that appeared, and we express our serious concerns anew on its impact on constructive efforts to maintain peace and stability in the region.
Last weekend, President Rodrigo Duterte in his speech said he considers having a joint exploration and development in the disputed islands rather than waging war with China. For its part, the Department of Foreign Affairs assures the Filipino citizens that it is doing its best to constantly monitor the situation and to protect the country's sovereign rights over the West Philippine Sea. And it's going to be a warm Tuesday. Leslie Longbowen, tell us why.
Yes, William, no low-pressure area or weather disturbance is observed to develop or enter the Philippine area of responsibility. Easterlies are still affecting the country. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers will continue to be experienced throughout the country. Today's highest heat index, or the temperature people feel, reached as high as 51.1 degrees Celsius in Casiguran, Aurora. So it's really important to stay hydrated and protected. Forecast shows Metro Manila's temperature will range from 25 to 34 degrees Celsius, 26 to 39 degrees Celsius in Tuguegarao City, 26 to 32 degrees Celsius in Metro Cebu, and 24 to 33 degrees Celsius in Metro Davao. Tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:27 in the morning. That's weather forecast. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Leslie Longbowen from the UNTV Weather Center. And for the news abroad, here's Amiel Pascual live from Taiwan. Good evening, Amiel.
Good evening, William. The president of Taiwan vows to step up security amid military threats from China. Local media reported that President Tsai Ing-wen made a statement yesterday during a speech on the second anniversary of her inauguration. Tsai gave no details about the security measures, but last year, she vowed to increase her government's military spending. Beijing claims sovereignty over the self-ruled Taiwan and insists on their eventual unification under a single China, a matter opposed by many Taiwanese. Meanwhile, workers on Sunday almost completed clearing the wreckage of the ill-fated Cubana de Aviacion, while investigations continue to identify the actual cause of its crash. An aging Boeing 737-200 of Mexican company Global Air, rented to Cubana, crashed on Friday shortly after taking off from the capital's Jose Marti International Airport, leaving 110 dead and 3 critically injured. As the clearance work nears its end, part of the airplane's engine has been recovered along with other things, including aircraft seats and passengers' luggage. Investigators from Mexico's Civil Aviation Authority have arrived, while the Boeing company has said they will send technicians to fully investigate the plane crash. A Texas official blames violent video games and broken families for the increasing gun violence in schools. Marie Peñaranda tells us why.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott said on Sunday that his team is examining various methods to boost school security, including monitoring the exit and entry procedures after a teenage boy used his father's gun to kill 10 people, including 8 students at a local high school.
Consistently get the same solution offered up, and that is better security at our schools, better control of ingress and egress from schools, and perhaps metal detectors. I don't know if that's a solution or not, but these are all the kinds of things that need to be put on the table.
His comments come a day after Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick blamed the shooting on too many entrances and too many exits on school campuses. On Sunday, Patrick, who had accompanied Abbott, implored gun owners to lock their guns, but added abortions, broken families, and violent video games were all to blame for the increase in gun violence in schools.
The average student, average teenager spends 2 hours a day on these games. Many spend more time. And what are these games showing you how to do?
Meanwhile, White House spokesperson Sarah Sanders on Sunday said the Trump administration is continuing to explore the best ways to protect kids across the country.
They started the School Safety Commission, and I know that group has been activated today to start that conversation up again, starting again, I think at the first part of next week they have a meeting.
As the investigation enters its third day, no official motive has been announced for the massacre, the fourth deadliest mass shooting at a U.S. public school in modern history. Classmates at Santa Fe High School, which has some 1,460 students, described the shooter, 17-year-old Dimitrios Pagortskis, as a quiet loner who played on the school's football team. He was denied bail and has been charged with capital murder and aggravated assault of a public servant. Marie Peñaranda, UNTV News and Rescue, Texas, USA.
Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro wins re-election amid vote rigging claims. Here's Tito Paz to tell us why.
Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has won re-election to another 6-year term in a vote marred by an opposition boycott and claims of vote rigging. Amid food shortages stemming from a severe economic crisis, just 46% of the electorate turned out to vote. The main opposition candidate, Henry Falcon, rejected the result soon after the polls closed. Falcon said he don't recognize the electoral process as valid and that new elections in Venezuela need to take place. The National Elections Council announced that with almost 93% of polling stations reporting, Maduro won nearly 68% of the votes, beating nearest challenger Henry Falcon by almost 40 points. Meanwhile, U.S. Deputy Secretary of State John Sullivan said on Sunday the Trump administration would not recognize the election and was considering oil sanctions. Maduro, the self-described son of former leader Hugo Chavez, said that the U.S. declarations were a demonstration of the desperation in the face of the showing of participation and development of elections in Venezuela. Tito Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Latin America.
Those are the news making headlines from around the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Amiel Pascual, live from Taiwan. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will not immediately head off to their honeymoon after their blended modern and traditional wedding on Saturday. Here's Jovic Burmas to tell us why.
After spending their first night at Windsor Castle as a married couple, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle officially left Windsor. The newlyweds head home to their cottage in the grounds of Kensington Palace. Markle and Harry are delaying their actual honeymoon, the palace announced ahead of the wedding, so that they can attend a garden party birthday event for Prince Charles' 70th birthday on May 22. The outdoor event marks the heir to the throne's milestone birthday by recognizing Charles' patronages and military affiliations, as well as others involved in charities supported by the royal. It will be Markle's first garden party and their first official royal engagement as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So far, the destination of their honeymoon is unknown, with some media guessing they might travel to Botswana, possibly to an exclusive safari camp which the couple visited in August last year, just a few months before they announced their engagement. Harry sourced the diamond in Meghan's engagement ring from Botswana, the world's biggest producer. Meanwhile, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding was unique in so many ways, and that's because the couple brought so much personality to the big day. From the array of Hollywood stars invited to the ceremony to the wedding's Windsor setting, Harry and Meghan made the day their own. More than 100,000 fans crammed the narrow roads of Windsor, about 30 kilometers west of London. Security was tight and visitors had to pass through police search points set up around the castle.
Wishing both of them all the best, have a wonderful life, happy life, and get on with it and enjoy it.
Elegant, she's such a beautiful lady. She'll look gorgeous. The whole country is going to be very happy for them both.
Best wishes then. Excited. Kasi for the first time, ngayon ko lang masaksihan ang dream come true.
Whilst honoring the royal family, Harry and Meghan broke with royal tradition in several ways, from Harry's platinum wedding ring, serving their lemon elderflower cake to the reception, and to their first kiss. The wedding was like no other the royal family has seen before. Jovic Burmas, UNTV News and Rescue, London, United Kingdom.
Those are the reasons behind the news. May 21, 2018, I am William Thio. And because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching Y News.